Hey everyone, you should know who it is by now. I mean, I've been doing these weekly for damn near the past year after all. How time flies, and how things change, and how people change as well. Not always for the better, mind you, but in reference to a certain individual I'm speaking of today, I feel he has changed for the better. You see, a long time ago, it feels like eons ago, actually. Yet at the same time, I recall it as if it were yesterday. I first met the individual whom you listeners know on this show as the Blank Space. When I first met the Blank Space, he was probably the most reserved individual I'd ever met, whom I could hardly get to speak more than a paragraph a day to me. Looking back on things, to be honest, I used to do a lot of the talking during our conversations. I still kind of do, to some extent, but not nearly as much as before. The amazing thing is, though, that despite his reservations to really talk about much at first, I could tell he was opinionated, knowledgeable, and that we had common interests in terms of hobbies. To a certain extent, I think looking back on it all, I made a positive contribution to the Blank Space's personal growth by making a genuine effort to be an individual whom he could have, and still does have, the most random of conversations with about anything. But folks, I'd be lying to you if I said I've helped the Blank Space out more so than he's helped me. The truth is, when it comes to the Blank Space, I owe him a great deal of thanks. By the way, like all previous guest hosts, he has no idea that I'm about to say any of the following stuff in the opening monologue, but I sincerely mean it all. Honestly, as strange as this might sound, if it weren't for the Blank Space, there would probably be no another point of view. Before I met Mr. Crooklyn Banks, before I met the Marquis, before I met Females Exist Online, I met and became the best of friends with the Blank Space. And I was equally reserved around others at the time, just as much as him. But he was the first of the two of us who made a genuine attempt, after a year of us being friends, to meet other folks and make more friends. So he joined a couple groups for people of common specific interests. Since me and him shared some interests, he attempted to convince me, but ultimately ended up having to just drag me along to some of his group meetings. And in one of those groups, I met a young lady who I engaged in a fair bit of conversation with, who would eventually become a cherished friend of mine, whom you all know as Females Exist Online. Fun fact, actually, Females Exist Online used to have a bit of a crush on the Blank Space. And I was just getting to know her more so by association. Admittedly, it was pretty awkward at times when the three of us interacted at first. But over time, I got to know her a bit more and realized she was a really cool person. So me and her became good friends. So in a way, if it wasn't for the Blank Space, I probably wouldn't have become such good friends with Females Exist Online. Or the Marquis, whom I only really met and got to know better because of Females Exist Online. Adding on to his positive contributions to my life, a little over 2 years after meeting the Blank Space, he introduced me to an acquaintance he had made. That acquaintance was Mr. Crooklyn Banks, who me and the Blank Space both became amazing friends with. So yeah, to a great extent, if it wasn't for the Blank Space, I probably wouldn't have gotten to know any of the other guest hosts as well as I currently do. And they probably wouldn't have bothered to be guest hosts if that were the case. Not only that, but a great deal of the inspiration for the types of segments and topics covered on this show are inspired by the random discussion subjects me and the Blank Space would and still engage in to this day. To the Blank Space, I have only this to say. Before I had this show, before I met any of the others, you were the one who I felt really even bothered to genuinely listen to my point of view. which really was just another point of view. So I want you to know, man, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, and I'm kind of tearing up saying it. Thank you so much for everything. I'll always consider you a great friend of mine, no matter what. And with that said, here's the blank space coming at you, point blank.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another point of view. I thought I'd talk about video gaming tonight in a bit of a change of pace from last week. Let's talk about Fallout 4, the big new game from Bethesda. This game is a major step up from their past efforts, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim. It is satisfying in a way that Skyrim absolutely never was. The Civil War questline in Skyrim was absolutely terrible. They implemented it in a much better way in Fallout 4, choosing between the Institute, the Railroad, the Minutemen, and the Brotherhood of Steel. That final battle in the Institute questline between the Institute and the Brotherhood of Steel at the airport was nothing less than absolute brilliance. It was intense, and it really felt like they were giving it their all, throwing everything they had at you to try and get you to retreat. It was just brilliant. And frankly, fuck Skyrim. And on to the other big game that was recently released, Battlefront. Another effort from EA to just completely fuck everything up and try and destroy the industry. The bullshit season pass stuff really needs to stop. $50 for 4 maps and a few other little pieces of crap. That is nearly the price of the original base game. Stop it. Why does this need to continue? All you're doing is fostering ill will towards your customers. I sincerely do not understand why companies feel the need to do this crap. This is a problem with Fallout 4 too. The first thing I saw when I opened that PlayStation 4 box for Fallout 4 was a season pass advert. $30 to pre-order DLC that we all know will not be scarce. I am completely perplexed by all of this. Why do people buy this? We need to raise our voices to make sure this kind of shit stops, and stops quickly, or else it will all just spiral out of control. Fuck you, EA. Just fuck you. And it kills me that EA owns 2 of my absolute favorite franchises, Mass Effect and Dragon Age. They were already starting to creep in with their shitty business tactics and the microtransactions, with the pay-to-win bullshit in Dragon Age Inquisition's multiplayer. Dragon Age does not need microtransactions. No fucking $60 AAA title needs microtransactions. And it's not just EA that's doing all of this. EA, Ubisoft, all of the big companies are trying to get in on this, and it is absolutely disgusting and needs to stop immediately, or else we could be heading towards another 1980s situation with a gaming crash. Just please, video game companies, stop it. Also, why does every video game need to be $60 these days? Not every game has enough content to warrant a $60 purchase price. Like Battlefront, for example. 4 maps, a smattering of modes for $60? I think not, EA. check your damn self. On to another topic that's been peeving me as of late, Apple and their absolutely garbage business practices. A report has come out stating that they are removing the 3.5mm headphone jack on the next iPhone. Their excuse is that it will make the phone thinner, which is not something anyone's been asking me for, because the thinner the phone, the weaker it is and the more likelihood of breakage. But to me, it just rings of an absolute cash grab on the part of Apple. They've done this before, so I would not put it past them to do this again. When they went from the old style of charger to the new Lightning, it screamed of a cash grab then too. It's just a way for them to rake in more money so you can, on new products that they're selling, to fit their new special connectors. And that is exactly what it seems like this time around too, because the headphones will now be connecting through the Lightning port on the next iPhone. And that just screams of cash grab, because old headphones will not work now, meaning you have to buy their special fucking headphones at them for what will probably be $40 or $50, knowing Apple's insane pricing tactics. It's completely disgusting. Why do people buy Apple's crap? It is woefully outdated upon release, and it is 2 to 3 times the price of much better current devices. Please, people, stop buying Apple's products. We need to stop supporting this kind of thing. On to our final topic of the night, which is a somber one. Another day in the United States of America, and another mass shooting. In San Bernardino, California, 14 people have been killed in another heinous crime in the United States. Something needs to be done. We've talked about this before. It happens many times in the United States, but the politicians refuse to do anything. So more people will keep dying until they actually get off their asses and do something good for this country. Why? Why must this keep happening? There are other countries in the world that have just as many guns as the United States, but none of them see this problem on a scale this large. What is it about the United States? Is the culture rotten? Is it something about the air? What is it? Why? Why must this keep happening, and why is no one doing anything to stop it? The Republican politicians ramble on about it being a mental health care issue, but they don't do a damn thing to address that issue once they have the chance. And there's very little evidence to suggest it even is a mental health issue at all. Something needs to be done. Please, politicians, get off your ass and do something good for the country, for once. Is gun control necessary? Yes. The politicians need to stop being lazy bastards and actually get on it instead of being slaves to the NRA, which they seem to be. Our government needs to stop being beholden to big money and actually do something and help the people that they were sworn to help, to actually fight for the lives of their citizens instead of just kowtowing to the whims of big corporations and groups. This needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. Good night, and good luck. Oh, one more thing. Fuck Ubisoft, fuck Assassin's Creed. Nothing will change.